like people are about books all of a sudden.
Yeah, people really are. And I mean, for me, I think because I love, love, love to read, I feel like they haven't gone anywhere. But what I've seen has been this influx in people figuring out not only how to write and share their own stories, where before you had to go through this like traditional big publisher, but also how to use that as a platform and a catalyst to launch businesses and grow communities and to really help them elevate their platform.
Yeah, and that's what we want to talk about. Okay, so for starters, I was going to ask you, so are you an avid are you are you an avid reader? Like, do you enjoy reading as much as you enjoy being the main character in your own story?
Oh my God, more so. I'm
Okay.
naturally super, super shy. So it's like challenging sometimes for me to get in front of a crowd or to be the one speaking. I have been obsessively reading books since I was a kid. Like, I literally, if I spanned out this view, you would see I have floor to ceiling, wall to wall books in here, all of which I've read.
I see the bookcase like anytime. So you see, I still have like the one vertical, but then I have books like everywhere else. But I
Yeah.
feel like once people graduated to the multi-stage, like that's true bibliophile. I think that's the word, bibliophile.
No, and even like how this one is clear, this is like all for show because it's never like that. As I was telling you before we hopped on, I'm in the process of buying another property, right? And so I was like, okay, well, and originally I was going to sell this one. And so I'm like, well, when I have people coming in here, it looks cluttered because I have so many books. So I just cleared out the top shelf, but I have a lot more than what you see here.
It's so funny. We call this BSN Bookshelf, and this is episode number 2. And so you're leaning right into it. I want to share some stats that I dug up as we, in Black Speakers Network, of course, we have authors, speakers, content creators, event planners, and I love to be able to talk about some of these trends. Right now, you're gearing up for an incredible 2026. I know that you, like every time I feel like I open Facebook, you are either traveling or launching something or cutting somebody's hair or taking care of the kids or figuring it like you are always busy. I never see you just sitting there like, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I'm bored. So when's the last time you've been bored? Like the 90s?
Oh my God. And I want to be, like I had this whole thing at the beginning of this year. I'm like, I'm going to spend every morning meditating and really, and that's not boring, but like just taking more intentional time for me. And it just doesn't happen. Every time I wake up, there's something I need to do, an email I need to send. So I need to get better with that. But I do enjoy projects. So I find myself doing and completing a lot of them.
I have so many questions about some of these projects. Okay, so I want to hit you with some stats really quick and just get
Okay.
your impression because I believe as we kind of go into this conversation about books, I do want to have an expanded conversation about your brand.
Yeah.
Also, want to make the disclaimer that this will not be first conversation because I probably will have many, many more. But
Yeah.
I feel like books are making a comeback, right? So the stat that I read, have you heard of the American Booksellers Association?
I haven't.
Okay, so there's an association for people. Let's say you want to start your own book
Mm.
store, your own bookstore.
Oh,
You have your own book, but this is the organization that provides resources and support for folks who are selling books, and they also aggregate data and stuff like that. They are reporting an 18% increase in membership, which means that
mm.
more people are opening bookstores in 2025. And this is a trend that's apparently been doubling over the last 5 years. So like independent bookstores are still not only all books coming back, but bookstores are coming back. And what's interesting is that I believe over 300 new independent bookstores have opened this year, and a significant percentage of them are actually minority owned. So you're having this resurgence of not just books, but also books by and from people of color. And they're also creating, I think, space and programming around that. So what are your thoughts about the trend of books coming back?
That is so, so needed. We have to have more spaces by us and for us. And especially now in a world that's moving towards so much digital content, right? And that's great. You can reach more people in a shorter amount of time, but nothing can replace the feeling of going into a bookstore. Like growing up, I used to always do that. I would go to Barnes and Nobles and sit there for hours and just read books. And actually, especially if they're independently owned, we as authors have a much greater chance to get our books on these shelves because I've gone into some stores bookstores before, and they won't even talk to you unless
Nope.
you have a publisher. There's certain criteria in order for you to even think about having your book on the shelves. But I had 3 different bookstores throughout the country that did place my book, and all of them were independently owned. And actually, all of them were Black women. Every single one who said yes to me was a Black woman.
Now tell us a little bit about the book you wrote.
Okay, so and it's so funny. I would get so shy when people would ask me this because it really started. I've owned my own hair salon for about 14 years, been a hairstylist for 20, and then COVID came, and I've wrote a book just about my personal story, overcoming homelessness, addiction, just a really challenging upbringing, a lot of struggles with mental health as a Black woman in the society, but also with a really unstable childhood. But then sharing how I overcame that and just did these simple mindset shifts and was able to completely transform my life. And when I wrote it, I really thought it was going to be something that like just my kids were going to read. And I kid you not, it literally changed the trajectory of my life. It won multiple awards. It led to me speaking at 4 different TEDx events. It just, yeah, I'm back in school getting my master's now. Like it just completely changed everything. So I'm so glad I took that leap of faith.
I didn't know you were getting your master's on top of that. I have several follow-up points for that. So one, I found out through your talk and some of your other properties that you actually found out you were homeless while you were pregnant. Did I get that right?
Well, not necessarily found out, but growing up, my life was a bit unstable. My mom lived in motels, so we bounced around a bit there, but I don't consider that homeless because at least we still had a space to stay. The owner of the motel to this day reaches out to me. He came out to the grand opening of my salon because he saw me grow up, and he always says how proud he is of me. So it wasn't ideal, but it was a space that we made work. And then when I was probably teenage years, after I'd bounced around a little bit at about 15, it just wasn't working. And from there, I was literally sleeping on buses, sleeping in coffee shops, working. I dropped out of school. I was working during the day, scared to I never like slept outside because it's so dangerous, but trying to find little pockets and spaces where I could sleep without being in fear for my life. And so that went on for several years. And then when I got pregnant, my ex and we were able to get a place. It was terrible. It was $300 a month, run down, worst part of the city, but at least it was somewhere to lay our heads at night. And from there, I just was like, nope, my daughter is not going to go through what I went through. And I completely changed everything.
I think the conversation around housing instability, which almost seems crazy in a country like America, which, it's so flush with wealth. You're like, how are people still not able to have access to food, healthcare, and housing, and education, I guess. But generally speaking, it's interesting that most people, I feel like, are probably 30 days away or less from experiencing the type of housing instability that you experience. And then you grew up. So I love that you are so vulnerable and transparent with that, because clearly you have this journey that people have gone through. The other thing I love is you've been you've owned your own salon. I was gonna say, I don't know the official name, or would you like to consider yourself a stylist? Are you a hair artist? Are you what's the when you go into your salon world, what's the title that you like to go by?
I mean, titles are what they are. They don't bother me too much. I've been a hairstylist for 20 years and I owned my own for the last 14. And even that, it's just God always, we don't make changes when we're comfortable. We have to get pushed outside of our comfort zone to really step into the next level of wherever we're supposed to be. So for me, I had great experiences where I was, but for a variety of different reasons I won't get into it. I realized that I needed to be able to create my own space and to make sure that it was loving, that it was light, that we were a sisterhood, and to create something I hadn't quite found yet. And so that had me open my own shop. And it's like, here we are 14 years later, and I've provided jobs to members of the community. We go out and do free haircuts for unhoused members of the community. We go into hospitals and shelters and all these different places to give back. And that wouldn't have happened had I not been forced to step outside of my comfort zone.
And the name of your salon is called Sheer Passion. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
That is one of the best names I have heard.
Oh,
And
thank you.
That is such a great, like, I feel like that should be just your brand name overall, like sheer passion,
Yeah.
because literally that's what we're talking about. So great job and congratulations on 14 years. Owning a brick and mortar
Yeah.
business, I think, has its own special set of challenges that most people don't
Us.
realize.
It's so, and then during COVID, right? When you're saying 30 days away, like I actually, and being in California too, we had some of the most strict rules around shutdowns, which I was all for. However, and I mean, I personally know several people who have passed away from COVID. So I actually kept my doors closed when we were supposed to, but that meant that I'm still paying the rent. I'm still contributing to my mortgage at home. I mean, I was still with my ex-husband, so he was able to cover a lot of the bills, but it's a lot to keep a business up and running. It's really like maintaining two households at the same time.
Yeah. I'm just commending you. And that's why I wanted to pull you for this quick conversation, because there's so much to pull on. But in your TED talk, so about 2 years ago, you delivered a TED talk called Three Keys to Being Unstoppable, I believe is the
Yeah.
title. And so you talked about this really cool concept. Now, I'm big, I don't know if you know this, but I'm big into pretty much anything that comes out of Japan, anime,
Mm.
music, well, those might be the only thing. Oh, video games, obviously. But Japan has, like they have Nintendo World and everything over there. Like, have you been over to Japan?
No, I was gonna go actually when I just did this last trip and it just turned logistically into too much. But yeah, I was finding deals over there for like $200 to get there one way. And yeah, so that is on my bucket list.
You talked about in this Three Keys to Being Unstoppable, you talked about the Japanese art of, I've been practicing this, Kintsugi. I want
Kintsugi, yes.
Suzuki. Okay, I nailed it. All right. This is the art of repairing pottery with gold. And so you have this maybe like a broken cup or a bowl or something. It's broken. So instead of throwing it away, it's this ancient art of repairing it, but repairing it in such a way that the cracks are still visible, but they use like a gold filler to make it in. And I didn't know any of this before your TED Talk. So this is a complete education. So tell us a little bit about how you learned about that process, especially having not gone to Japan, and then how did that inspire the TED Talk? Because I know TED Talk is connected to the book, and then I think that'll bring us to where we're trying to go.
Absolutely. So I may jump a little out of order, but TED Talk being connected to the book. So I was actually showed up at an event once, and I was supposed to just be in the audience listening. They asked me, I guess the speaker didn't show up. The woman knew me, and she was like, you know what? She knew about my book. She was like, can you share a little bit of your story? I shared a little bit, and it just so happened that an audience member worked for, he was like a TEDx organizer. He DMs me before I even hop off, and he's like, I think you should speak on the platform. And I'm like, what? Like, it never even blew my mind. I looked at that as something that they could do. The people with the degrees, the people with the experience, somebody with their PhD, a lawyer, whatever. And it just opened up my mind. And so when I started to think about what would I want to talk about, because it feels like such an honor, but also a heavy load. Like, if I have one chance to speak, what am I going to say? And so I started thinking about this. And just because I read so much, I had come across this concept years ago, but I started thinking about not only what applied to my life, but to so many of us is, what do we do when life falls apart? At
Yes.
some point, we are all going to break. That is just a part of life. And a lot of people can get stuck in these three stages. Some people, life falls apart and they just are not able to get it back together. And we've all seen that with people that we love and know that have so much potential, but they get stuck in the story. And then we see the people that are whining and complaining and crying and angry and whatever. And then we see the people that find a way to pick up those broken pieces, and they're not ashamed, they're not embarrassed, they're not hiding it. And instead, they use that to be the catalyst to the next great step and the next great thing in their lives. And so that concept of kintsugi, that's where that came from. I was like, you know what? If I can share one thing, it's that let's not allow these challenging things we go through stop us, but let's use that to be better and to be greater and to keep going forward.
Yeah. Wow. And you nailed it. Like that TEDx talk did pretty good, right? Like I feel like
It
it
did do
got
really
really good
well. I
reception.
mean, Lord, I was up there sweating. I mean, I don't know, you probably couldn't see it, but I get so embarrassed. I'm so shy. I'll talk too fast, say too many times. Like, that's not naturally my space. And so But so what happened? So I was like so embarrassed, right? And then when I get off the stage, and of course, you're your biggest critic. And one lady came up to me in tears because I shared a bit about my first suicide attempt. I was what, 8 years old. My second one, I was 16 and it left me hospitalized. And I shared some of that in that story. And a
Yes.
woman came up to me in tears. I'll never forget. She just hugged me and she said, I lost my brother to suicide last year. And we sat and we talked and we hugged and we cried. And that exchange told me it doesn't even matter who connects with it, who likes it, and who doesn't. If it touches one person, I've done my job. And so from there, I was okay. My hands were off of it and it actually went well. I mean, I don't remember, I haven't looked in a while, but several 100,000 views and opened up a bunch of doors and opportunities. And yeah, so it was exciting.
What goes through your mind like that last, let's say 30 seconds before you walk out onto that red circle dot? Because they make it really intense. I mean, you got lights, you're on our elevated stage most of the time, it's being recorded. I don't know if people stop or because of redo or whatever, but like it feels like it's like a one take type of situation.
Yeah.
What is your what's going through your head before you walk out on stage?
Well, I'll say, especially because we're speaking to authors, speakers, it depends on where you go. Some will make sure it is more about what what the final video is. So they'll allow you to start over if you need to, but it is very rare. Like I've done 4 TEDx talks and I've only seen somebody start over if there was like a major malfunction with like editing or recording. So you do feel like this is your shot, and you've prepared and you know what you want to share, but you want to hit your points and all these different things. And for me, my mind tends to go blank. So usually I'll just say a little prayer before I go out and I take a deep breath. And I'm like, at this point, it just is what it is. I'm turning up the energy. I'm coming on stage and baby, we about to have fun. And so
One thing I was really, you walked out with a level of confidence that I really like, because again, as from an audience perspective, we don't know what's going on. We tell speakers this all the time in BSN and organizations like Toastmasters. You don't know. The audience has no idea what your experience. They're just there. Your audience is actually hoping that you do well in most
yeah,
cases. They're rooting for you. And in addition to that, they have no idea what you're going to say. So if you do happen to miss something, I mean, you can go back and get it later, or unless you said, hey, I'm going to tell you 3 keys and gave them
yeah.
2, they're not going to know.
Exactly. And like you said, they want to see you do well. I remember one of our speaker coaches, Mila Diamond, at the first TEDx event that I
Oh,
did.
y'all had coaches.
Yeah, we would have speaker coaches. And most, I'd say out of the 4, 2 of the events we had speaker coaches. And so different levels of it. Like sometimes we would just get together and kind of share different versions of our talk and people would be like, I kind of got lost here, or you connected with me most here, or maybe you might want to steer clear of saying that, right? So those types of things. But I remember her saying, like, allow yourself to lean into it and to be emotional, but with restraint. And she said the same thing. She was like, people want to see you do well. However, if you get up there and you're like falling apart on the stage, like a few tears, if they happen to come, that's okay. But if you're like sobbing and need a tissue, it can actually become uncomfortable for your audience, right? And so you do want to walk that fine line. And it may sound a little harsh, but like, don't fall apart on stage. You can do that later. And it doesn't mean don't show emotion and don't be authentic and be genuine, all of that. But so those were the types of things I had in my mind, was that balance of be yourself, open up, come, just share your heart and your story and your experiences, but do it in a way, like have a level of restraint with that, right?
I love that. I one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because I think sometimes people treat writing the book as like the end of the finish line instead of the beginning. And especially for someone like you who has been what I would call a traditional entrepreneur, like a brick and mortar, like somewhere you got to show up to, and it's not online, it's not scalable in the traditional way. So like you've had this business, self-employed, shown up. I'm sure you've had employees and
Yep.
partners and vendors and accounts payable and all the other stuff that goes along with that. And so when you wrote your book, I again, you thought your family was going to read it. It was funny because I think, sometimes we don't think our message has utility beyond
Yeah.
our immediate sphere. Little do we know there are millions of people going through the same thing. So for you, uh, writing the book wasn't the end. It certainly was the beginning, opened up the doors to all these opportunities. how, now that you've done this and have experienced all these things, and of course we're coming up on 2026, and the book is still opening doors for you, it sounds like, what is your, how has your perspective on what it means to be an author changed over this period of time, and how do you look at it now?
I was just shocked. I mean, I really had no idea that it could open up so many different doors. And now that I'm in this industry, wait, are you frozen? You still here?
I can
Okay,
still
there we
hear
go.
you. Yeah, I
Okay,
think it's a
close
little
enough. Just
funny,
want to make
but you,
sure.
yeah, I think they cleaned it up on the back end, but yeah, you're good.
Okay, okay, good, good. Yes. So I started off thinking it'd be something small, honestly, out of fear. Like COVID was happening, and I literally knew people that were passing. And I'm like, my son was so young at the time. He was, I mean, just been born. And I was like, Lord Jesus, if the worst case scenario happens, I want him to know who I am, right? So it was really starting from that. And now that I know so many authors, my mind has just been blown on what you can do with your story, and not even just a personal story, but whatever type of book you're writing. So many people that get speaking engagements include book sales in that, right? And so they're selling copies and copies of books for years to come. I wrote the book in 2015, I think. No, not 2015. Sorry. I wrote the book in 2020, and I'm still getting sales from that every single month. Right. So you just don't really know. A lot of people are running workshops. We're doing retreats. There's so many different ways that you can pivot. One of my good friends wrote a book, and it wasn't even a huge book, on DEI and equity. He'd been in the space for a long time. He just got a contract with one of the biggest airline agencies in the world, and he gets flown out once a month for the next year, or this past year he's been doing it. It's between him and two other guys. They made over $100,000 each, and they train once a month. It is insane what you can do. So I feel like being coming from a place of integrity and speaking about what you know about, like, not like, oh, I took a short course and now I think I'm an expert, so I'm going to write this book. To me, that's not coming from a place of integrity. Like, figuring out what you know, what you want to give back, what you want to share, and putting that out there to the world, and then taking the courses, coming to people like you and learning how they can turn that into a scalable business is key.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So you actually coming on this journey now have understand like what I consider the true power of being an author, because it's the best business card. It's an evergreen lead source. It kind of works as your employee. So it's out there doing your thing. Even like, you don't know, somebody could be reading your book at 2 o'clock in the morning, ingesting your thought leadership. Nobody's going to be standing on a stage talking to anybody at 2 o'clock in the morning, but people could still be growing and engaging. And so I think that's great. You talked about a couple different things. So and going back to the eh, Kintsugi analogy, I believe that there is beauty in imperfection.
Mhm.
And you have now taken this, one could be argued, an imperfect set of life
Yeah.
circumstances, your cracks, and now have melded them and continuing to meld them together in your own way. Do you have any advice for people who are on their own journey? I feel like 2025, like the cracks are showing for a lot of people. And I know you do a lot of leadership coaching. By the way, I can't imagine. I feel like anybody that has somebody sit in the chair, whether they're a barber or a salon, like you're a salon owner or a beautician or esthetician, you all are like part therapist as well and part life planner and life coach. So, but what advice would you have for people, or people maybe if somebody's sitting in your chair who are trying to navigate their own cracks in 2025?
So even like I tell my daughter, she had an unfortunate situation recently, just some bullying and stuff. And I said, I don't know. And it actually escalated to like physical violence against her. She was attacked. And I said, I don't know why this happened to you. And of course, I'm going to advocate for you, but we're going to do what we always do, right? Something happens that was unfortunate. We didn't see it coming. Somebody literally hits you from behind, and that can happen like literally or figuratively. But sometimes life catches you off guard. And so in those moments, I always say, let's figure out how we can extract something good out of this. What you went through that you survived, somebody else is going through. You sharing your story could literally save and change somebody's life. I just went through a divorce 2 years ago. I was married for 10 years. We're still great friends. But I'm like, how do I pivot from this? I decided to go back and get my master's. I bought this house. I'm going to rent it out and buy another house, right? Like it wasn't the ideal set of circumstances, but how do you take what you've gone through and use it to craft a new, beautiful version of your story? It may not be what you thought it was going to be, but that's because it's going to be something so much better than you ever could have imagined. I think we're having a hiccup. So until I can see you pop back on, I'll share a little bit more about that. Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I'm
Okay.
still here. I put you
Okay.
solo because I wasn't sure what it was doing. Yeah, they're fighting with us. But I heard you say while they're still here. So I think we were still able to hear most of what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, it's just the one sentence wrap up. In case you guys weren't able to catch that, is that life catches us off guard. A lot of times, we don't know. We're just moving through life, and all of a sudden, we're hit over the head, right? And you're like, "What is happening?" And all you can do in that moment is pause, take a moment to take care of yourself, to kind of rebalance, and then figure out, how can I pivot? How can I make three great things come out of this challenging situation that I'm going through? Can I go back to school? Can I go and help somebody else? Can I write the book? Can I start the business? Can I be a mentor? Like, how can I give back and help somebody else while also elevating my own life in the process?
I love it. See, that's why, Stranger Black Speakers Network. What are you most excited about for 2026?
Oh my gosh. I took a break just for the first year of my master's program. And I said, look, we have to be intentional. We can manifest things. What we say, our words have power. And I said, okay, 2026, I'm coming back out. Here we are, the end of 2025. I'm speaking
You
with
were
people.
away. You were not. This is you not out. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
no, I haven't been doing any like speaking. I've been working on another book in the background. I
Oh,
haven't talked about it at all. Like never mentioned it online. I'm like, I've just been kind of like head down in the sand trying to get things done. So yeah, so next up we are doing a retreat. I think it's in mid-March. We just secured the space, and it's a retreat for Black folks, a space for us, by us, with Black healers, wellness experts, DEI experts coming in to pour into us and to give us a space to let down our hair and to heal together. So
is
that's
that
the next big thing I have coming up. I have another book coming out and some other things, but that's what I'm super excited about.
I can you drop the how much can you share? Can we get a exclusive? Can you drop the location, please? Or
Yes,
are you
yes, it's going to
okay?
be in the Bay Area. My client hooked me up, and we have this massive, beautiful mansion. It's literally on a 30-acre like farm. And we are going to have masseuses there. We're going to have
I'm
Reiki
in.
healers. It's going to be great. And I'm going to be dropping some stuff. We're actually going to so we have a sliding scale because we want, of course you have to pay because we have to pay, right? That's what it is. But we want to make sure that people have access, because this space is going to be transformative. It is going to open doors. It's going to help you reach the next level in your personal and professional life. So I'm going to be sharing more about that,
Okay.
because if you guys want to be there, it is worth it. You need to be
What
in the building.
we'll bring you back for, because we do BSN backstage now for events. So
Oh,
we can bring you back for an event interview as we get closer. But be sure to share the information with us. We'll share across our we send out the weekly events email, so we'll make sure to add that. Natasha, I'm so super proud of you. If this is you being like not outside, I can't imagine what 2026 is going to be like. I know that you are still opening doors, and that's why I just wanted to have this conversation, because we all have the cracks, right? And
yeah.
I think that as we think about, go back and kind of consider, what Kintsugi, and I actually want to go and watch some more videos and see kind of the practitionership around it, because I feel like we are all doing that in our life. And it's okay. Like, if you've been on this planet longer than like 20 years, there's some cracks.
Yeah.
I've been in rollover car accidents. I've been in like
I
all
didn't even
sorts.
know that. That's insane.
I know nobody. I mean, I was fine. Like the car, that's a story for another
But
day.
that
But
quick, yeah. It
we've
could
been
have been
through
over. It
stuff.
could have been different.
Just to watch how you navigate the world. And I think we are moving to a place, of course, we're in the age of, artificial intelligence and technology, and things are moving so fast. But as things get faster and more automated, I think this need for in-person connection, small events, the event that you guys are doing in March, being able to have book clubs. Like right now, I think I read Oh yeah. Have you heard of the silent book club trend where people are like
I,
meeting up and just reading together?
I have, and that is so beautiful. I love that.
I think that that's where we're going. That
Yeah.
trend is up. Like people are run clubs, walking clubs, even like
Yeah.
dating, like traditional dating apps are on the decline because people are recognizing this value of in IRL connections. So keep
Yeah.
up the amazing work, Natasha. Obviously, if you need anything, Black Speakers Network, we're here. Do you want to drop your information for folks that want to connect with you? Maybe they're out in the you're considered in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in the Bay Area. Yeah, my business is in Oakland. I'm right in the middle of the Bay. Yeah, no, so I'm Natasha Ickes across every platform. I'm most active on Facebook. So the last name is Ickes. My TEDx talks are under that name as well. My book is under that name as well. I was still married at the time, so it's got another name at the end, but we're gonna leave that there. But on
All good.
Amazon and whatever. So yeah, so please connect with me. I just love being, and that's why I love Facebook. I love conversations. I like to read about you, hear your thoughts, and get to know you better.
Yeah, and thanks for all your support on the Creative Change podcast. You've been great. So let's keep it up. We got a lot of work to do, and as we always say in Black Speakers Network, keep speaking up because you're always a wait. Y'all make sure y'all connect with Natasha, and if you need a cut and color out in the Bay Area too,
I
you can get
got
that.
you.
Y'all take care.
Oh, thank you.